Welcome to the first episode here on the Life is Art Instagram TV. We're going to be bringing you weekly content on basically everything we do here, anything from tutorials, behind the scenes, tips, tricks, and also reviews, which, as if it was almost planned, brings me on to today's video. A hands-on review of the Canon R5. So we're fortunate enough to be one of the first people to actually review this camera.
Folks, today, we're talking about the Canon R5.
The R5.
The Canon R5.
Canon R5.
Okay, that's not technically true, but the R5 has proven to be a little bit of an elusive beast here in the UK since its release, and we feel super fortunate to have finally got our hands on this. We've spent a week with it, taking it on a couple of local test shoots, and then most recently, a full high-end music video shoot too. We're going to tell you what we like, what we don't like, and if we think the R5 will become a permanent member of the Life is Art family. First up, the camera body. So, our initial thoughts are, as you'd expect with any Canon camera, it's built like an absolute tank. The flip out screen does mean that it's not going to be totally weather sealed like some of the other flagship cameras, but that isn't a total deal breaker for us. So Canon listened and got rid of that weird touch bar thing that came on previous models like the EOS R. The old school joystick and scroll wheel make a much welcome return and feel great in hand. In short, this feels like a solid Canon camera, which is nothing new to most Canon users anyway. The EOS R was a slight departure from what we're all used to, but we're back on track with the R5. So next up, we're going to talk about the autofocus. In some aspects, this almost feels like a pointless conversation when it comes to Canon cameras. It's rare the autofocus is anything but brilliant, and the R5 is exactly the same, and even better than we'd hoped for, to be honest. Its face and eye detection, even in low light, are absolutely insane. One area that we really wanted to mention, and it is a weird one for us, as we'd never really needed it until quite literally last week, is animal eye autofocus. We don't know what voodoo they're using over there at Canon, but my word, this feature is out of this world. Not only will it lock onto an animal's eye, but it'll also draw a full focus box around bodies and heads too. It's safe to say that we've been absolutely blown away by this feature. Let's move on to Ibis. Now, while we wouldn't put this on the, quite frankly, wizard-like levels of the Panasonic GH5s, the R5 has improved on some of the other Canon models' Ibis. I guess an obvious comparison would be the Sony A7 III, and we're pretty confident in saying that Canon would win this battle every time round. That being said, there is a slight issue which is frustrating. Shooting at wider focal length with Ibis on means you get this weird wobbly effect in the corners of your image. If your camera is static or on a tripod, for example, you don't really tend to have any issues, but go handheld and it can look like you're filming on a plate of jelly. It's just one thing to keep an eye out for. In a word, the image out of this camera is basically incredible. We've been blown away by how sharp the footage from the R5 is. 4K HQ mode is just an absolute joy to film with. It's actually an 8K image, downsampled in cam to 4K, so as we're sure you can imagine, it looks phenomenal. Now, what you really want to know about is that 4K slow-mo. And let's just get it out the way by saying, yep, it's absolutely incredible. 120 frames a second at 4K is as good, if not better, than we'd hoped for. Sadly, there is one small catch, and it's not the one you're thinking about. It's in fact the size of the bloody files. When you're shooting in 4K at 120 frames a second, you better make sure you've got some hard drives and memory cards at the ready. Last week's shoot was a real eye-opener, as we only got 4 minutes and 10 seconds out of a 64GB card shooting in slow-mo at 4K. No denying it looks insane, but boy oh boy does it eat those drives up. Our final point brings us to the elephant in the room, overheating. Since the latest firmware update, 1.2.0 for those wondering, we've had no signs of overheating. Yep, you heard me right, no signs at all. Canon's initial PR nightmare might now be over. In both our tested video and full music video shoot, we encountered zero overheating issues. In fact, we encountered zero issues full stop. It is worth mentioning that on our second shoot with the camera, we were using the Atomos Ninja to externally record, so who knows if we may come across a few issues down the road. If so, we'll update you guys and let you know how we got on. So there we have it, a short initial hands-on first impression review of the R5. In a nutshell, we are loving it, but we are still a little bit cautious about the overheating and a few bits like that, so we would never go on a full professional shoot without our trusty 1DX Mark III. Have you been looking at upgrading to the R5, or is there another camera that you're looking forward to? Let us know in the comments and let's talk cameras. As always, it's been fun, and I'll see you in the next one.